Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, and welcome to this presentation on the leopards of the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate. I've given this presentation a couple of times this year. The first was in collaboration with Rhino Revolution, and the second was on behalf of the HWE board and management. This presentation was exclusively for HWE residents. However, I know that some of you were unable to attend, and I got a few messages from people asking me to put the presentation online. So here we are. The purpose of the presentation is to promote responsible coexistence and also to share accurate information so that we can enter a constructive discussion about this topic. Okay, in the interest of properly conveying information to all of you and the credibility of what I say, I will be using a fair amount of figures, dates, names, and images. Please bear with me, and I assure you this presentation will be illuminating. I want to give you all a better understanding of the leopard dynamics on the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate in the last 5 years. And I've dedicated the first half of my presentation to this aspect. That also serves to provide context for the second half of the presentation, in which I will primarily focus on two of the HWE leopards, as I believe the information on these individuals will provide a sound basis for a discussion on coexistence within this landscape. Before I begin, I would like to thank all the residents of HWE and some people who do not reside on the estate that have shared information over the years. And also those who have allowed me to use some of that information. It is a vital aspect of what I say. By the end of this presentation, you will all have an understanding for how important that information has become. Please continue to share it. For those of you that are interested, Marine and the team from Ingwe Leopard Research are doing tremendous work in this area and elsewhere. Please check out their website and consider supporting their efforts or getting involved as citizen scientists. I will use the words report or reports repeatedly. This is in reference to sightings and trail cam footage. Okay, one of the most common questions I am asked is, how many leopards are there on the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate? I never know how to answer that, but I can say that I have successfully identified 13 different transient individuals over the years. Of course, these leopards are moving in and out of the property. I will speak about all of the leopards, though the bulk of what I say will be dedicated to the dominant individuals and their offspring. Another common question is, are these leopards often around during the day? I specifically compiled data that is relevant to this talk, and part of that data is 151 reports for the dominant female leopard, known as Kulua, and the offspring from her previous litter, known as the Mbilu female and the Manda female. The reports occurred between the 22nd of January 2019 and the 22nd of November 2021. I noted that 91 of the 151 reports occurred between 7 in the evening and 5:30 in the morning. There were 24 dawn reports, 13 dusk reports, and 23 daytime reports. In general, These leopards are not present on HWE during the day, but of course it does happen. The location stamps represent kills that I am aware of over the years. I only know of 2 kills that were hoisted into a tree on HWE. I will be speaking about some of the kills. The greatest density of known kills is among the residential area. However, I think it is reasonable to conclude that this is because those incidents would be more visible. The location stamps on this map represent the sightings that I can recall. Leopards are seen all over the property. Presently, there are 2 dominant female leopards that traverse HWE. These images are just to illustrate what I have observed. Kalua has a slightly longer hind paw, and more notably for me is the one toe that sits further from her pad than Zaha's hind paws. There is an apparent size difference between these 2 leopards, with Kalua being the larger animal. This old male leopard, known as Mawusi, was dominant on the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate until November 2019. The most pertinent information about him is how vocal he was and how much time he appeared to spend with the Kalua female when he was on the estate. I had very little understanding for what I was doing when I began monitoring these leopards. And part of how I learned was by listening at night and following tracks in the daylight. I would frequently hear Mawusi, and often this would elicit a response from Kalua. In time, I began to notice another female leopard with a more distinctive rasp, which all of you will hear a little later. Of course, I initially had no idea which leopards were soaring, but after being in their presence and hearing them, coupled with the amount of times I heard them, I was able to distinguish which cat was rasping. One evening, another male leopard began soaring. A fair distance outside the estate's eastern fence, so this would be on the Air Force buffer zone. On our way to investigate, we found Mawusi. He was also outside the fence and angrily padding his way back and forth on a small portion of riverbed. Mawusi rasped regularly for some time before curling up and growling himself to sleep. On November 10th, 2019, Mawusi triggered one of the trail cameras for the last time. And this was the final indication of his waning presence. In my experience, the nights are often quieter since this leopard's departure. 1 week later, a new large male leopard entered the estate. And now there was an image that I could link to that ominous sawing sound I'd heard weeks earlier. After consulting archive photographs that my predecessor had sent me, I realized that this, in fact, wasn't a new leopard. He is known as the Mafu male, and he is Kalua's offspring, estimated to be about 10 years old now. It is my belief that Mafu was responsible for the departure or demise of Mawusi male. I do not believe that Mawusi's territory would have been occupied so soon after his disappearance under different circumstances. Mafu remains the dominant male for this area. At the end of April and into early May 2019, Kalua was constantly soaring from a localized area in the evenings and early mornings. She was in the property to the south of HWE. On May 3rd, Mawusi finally joined the leopardess, and they spent the next few days mating on and around HWE. A few months later, the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate was blessed with the presence of 2 small female leopard cubs. Kulua would successfully raise both leopards to independence before repeating the same behavior and rasping from a localized area for a number of days. Then, months later, a leopard cub was seen on HWE. The little male leopard would also reach independence. This cat would become known as Nsekelo. Nsekelo was born in November of 2021, making him around 2 years old. He is a young leopard. To play the video, please just click on it. I'm having a couple of issues with this, but I think it will play for viewers. It appears that Kulua has been the dominant female on the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate since at least 2016. This elusive leopard continues to adapt to her ever-changing environment and is remarkably successful at raising her offspring to independence. This clip that I have dubbed the new leopard crawl illustrates Kulua's adaptability. This image showcasing Kulua's versatility has been featured in the upcoming Remembering Leopards book as part of a global conservation initiative known as the Remembering Wildlife Collection, started by Margot Raggett. I cannot put into words what this image and the privilege of monitoring the Kulua female's movements has meant to me. Now, a glimpse into this aging yet ever tenacious leopard's story is being witnessed the world over. The leopardess from the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate has an additional role in the conservation of her species. And when her time is at an end, she will be missed dearly. In February 2020, Kulua stashed her daughters in the far western section of HWE. So this would be in the residential area, more towards Pick and Pay. I decided to take a drive in the late afternoon, and to my astonishment, I spotted one of the cubs peering at my vehicle through the lush green grass. This little female would become known as Manda, and in the earlier stages of her life, she was a more confident cat than her sibling. As the months rolled on, it appeared to me that Manda exhibited independent behavior sooner than her sister. On 2 separate occasions, I had followed Manda's tracks and found the remains of Janet's. Then, once, a fresh duiker carcass. Manda consumed the duiker on her own. February 2021 was the final report I had for Manda, whether it be on HWE or anywhere else. The Mbilu female is Manda's sibling, and this image tells part of her story on HWE. A day earlier, I noticed leopard tracks on the side of a concrete drainage area just off the road. The following late afternoon, I took a chance and headed to that spot. Parked my vehicle and waited for a small miracle. And it happened. Two experiences with Mbilu in particular taught me valuable lessons regarding coexistence with wild animals. One evening, I heard a commotion in the thickets on the greenbelt. I switched off the vehicle and listened. In time, I believed I was able to hear a crunching sound, and so I thought a kill had occurred. The following morning, I headed out on my own, which was my first mistake. When I arrived, I noticed a dazzle of zebra and a wildebeest feeding carelessly near where I believed the kill had happened. I dropped my guard and assumed I had been mistaken. I chose to walk into the greenbelt anyway, and with my attention more focused on the zebras and not on where I was going, I stumbled upon a male impala carcass stashed underneath the shrub. I was now within meters of the kill. Mbilu was hunkered down on the other side of her quarry. The young leopard snarled ferociously and bolted into a nearby drainage area, leaving me frozen like Elsa. My second experience was on a morning walk when I was attempting to photograph a shikra. The little raptor was disinclined to oblige, and so I began following the bird as it flew deeper into the veld. As I moved off the beaten track, I noticed a large male warthog between myself and the shikra's newly chosen perch. I remembered the awful incident on the Hoedspruit wildlife estate, where Callum Sargent's dog was brutally mauled by a warthog that had snapped a strand of the property's electric perimeter fence to enter the garden and feed. I decided it would be responsible to turn around and head back to my vehicle. Within seconds of that decision, I spotted a small leopard running away. I continued, got back into my car, and after driving in a loop around the block a couple times, I saw the leopard again, and it was indeed Mbilu. This leopard dispersed in August of 2021. She is now the dominant female on the Raptors View Wildlife Estate and a part of the surrounding area. Her first litter consisted of 3 cubs, and she has successfully raised 2 of those cubs to independence. I have no reports on Mbilu on HWE since August of 2021. While raising Mandla and Mbilu, Kalua killed a young Inyala bull in the western section of the estate. The kill was situated fairly close to a commonly used cycle track and some of the houses. In a separate instance, Kalua killed another young male Inyala right next to a homeowner's carport. The kill was situated in the central section of HWE, north of Hammerkop Dam. The most notable of Kalua's kills was a duiker, which she stashed in a small block of bushveld, about 100 meters south of HWE's main gate and up against the western perimeter fence in a small block of bushveld. It is remarkable how well Kalua understands her territory and has adapted to survive in this landscape. The leopardess and a very young Nsekelo male fed on the kill. This leopard story is a sobering reminder of the daily threats animals face. The Fiethler male arrived on HWE in March 2021. 3 months later, he was hit by a car when he attempted to cross the R40, and ultimately he lost his life. I wasn't able to establish his origins. A new young male leopard, later referred to as Nsika, began to show up infrequently. In October 2021, he found himself on the wrong side of an altercation with the dominant male. Nsika only reappeared many months later in July of 2022. He killed a large warthog and strung it in a tree on the Greenbelt, just off Laurie Road. Many residents got to sight this leopard over a few days, as at least initially, he remained on the property. Once again, his stay was halted when the Mafur male picked up on his presence. I haven't had any reports on Nsika since the beginning of August 2022. My first report for the Zaha female came in the middle of August 2019. The Kulua female is still dominant in a large part of HWE, but the younger Zaha has taken over a portion of that territory in the eastern section of the estate. Zaha successfully raised a litter of 2 cubs to independence. The litter consisted of a male and a female. The female is known as Kungwa, and the male is known as Tlanga. Tlanga will have the most telling role in this presentation. Please just click on the video again to listen to Zaha. Earlier I mentioned that one leopard has a very distinctive rasp, and that all of you would hear that rasp tonight. That leopard is the Zaha female. Please listen carefully. The rapid-fire nature of Zaha's rasp is due to her unhealthy caffeine addiction. This is a growing concern among leopards globally. Jurgens Podkita, a close friend of mine, came across drag marks on his morning run. He contacted me, and upon inspection of the drag and other parts of the road, we realized that there were more than one leopard. The kill had occurred in the far eastern section of the estate, so it wasn't much of a stretch to conclude that Zaha had made the kill, and her cubs had chosen to join her for the meal. We decided to walk the perimeter fence and establish whether or not the leopards had left the property. They had indeed exited. We then followed the drag and found a duiker carcass that had been cached in a tree. I was looking down at my shoes when in jest I said, perhaps I should climb the tree and set up a trail cam. Upon looking back up, I noticed Jurgens nodding at me. A short discussion ensued, which I abruptly ended by barking out, Jurgens, I'm 38 years old. I feel like my tree climbing days are behind me. I then proceeded to climb the tree and set up the trail camera. This is the footage of the Zaha female in the kill. Please just click on the video again. This is the footage I have 102 reports on the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate for Kulua, Mbilu, and Manda before the young leopards became independent. By contrast, I only have 35 reports for Kulua and Nsekelo before his independence. The large majority of these reports are from trail camera footage. 4 of these reports are my own sightings of this leopard. Nsekelo's relative absence is noteworthy. Naturally, one asks why this would be. And this, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to the second half of the presentation. One plausible explanation would be because of him. The Tlanga male's constant presence on the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate coincided with Kulua raising in Sekelo. Tlanga altered the dynamics and proved a disruption for Kulua. I have 115 reports for Tlanga from May 2021 to March 2023. And I will speak about a number of those reports on this leopard, at times going into painstaking detail, as I feel it is imperative to prove his lingering presence and behavior. Everyone, this is where the information that residents have shared shows its value. Please hang in there and keep listening. I was unaware of Tlanga and Kungwa's existence until they were already a fair size. My first introduction to these leopards was in the middle of May 2021. Residents had seen the leopards the evening before, and I drove out to Fish Eagle Dam in the early hours of the following morning. I watched Tlanga catch and kill a young duiker. After Tlanga's arrival at the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate, we saw a significant spike in leopard activity, particularly among the houses, but also on the greenbelt. And once he became independent in 2022, my reports, as well as residents' reports about this leopard, increased through to 2023. Within days of my first sighting of Tlanga, a resident posted about seeing a leopard on her patio in the evening. The leopard remained around the house for about an hour. Other homeowners began to share CCTV footage of a leopard walking outside their home at night. Yvette Hess, the previous owner of Bush Baby River Lodge, was out of town and had asked a friend to house sit for her. Her friend was awakened by Yvette's dogs barking inside the house. Standing on the veranda outside the window was a male leopard. The leopard responded with aggression of his own before moving on. In June of 2021, a resident posted about witnessing a leopard stalk a young male kudu at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the greenbelt. On the 2nd of July 2021, a trail cam image taken at 11:40 in the morning revealed Tlanga at a zebra carcass. The zebra had died of natural causes. This is a remarkable image of Tlanga, taken by Kayla Z. Wildlife. If any wildlife photographers would like to challenge themselves, I recommend they attempt to find and photograph a leopard in a tree during the day on HWE. Henry Badenhorst has a property on Acacia Street. He shared a video that his guests had taken of Tlanga walking past the front of their villa one evening. This image of Tlanga was taken by Yolandi Skun on Canopy Storing. In the comment section, I confirmed that this was the Tlanga male, and someone took an interest in how I was able to identify this leopard. I replied with one of my own images and circled the matching spot patterns on his head. I have a multitude of images of Tlanga, portraits, flanks, bump shots. Tlanga made a number of kills among the houses. This is an image from September 2022 of Tlanga feeding on a young male kudu that he had killed outside Ian Outram's garden. It took Tlanga days to finish the kill. One evening, Carol Marsh sent me a video she took of Tlanga killing a large warthog on the side of the road among the houses. Daniela from Matakataka watched Tlanga kill a piglet in her driveway. Ethel and Deline Johnson had Tlanga lying in their driveway one evening. These images of Tlanga relaxing next to the house one afternoon were taken by Fani Nokia on Kiriklapa in November of 2022. I do not know who took this image, and I hope they do not mind. I was sent this photo by Graham Gamble. Tlanga, lying on the side of the road off Kanopi Storing. This is a trail cam image taken of Tlanga feeding on an adult warthog that he had dragged out of its burrow next to Gary Olorto's house in the early hours of the morning. Note that the timestamp is 22 minutes past 2 in the afternoon. So Tlanga hung around and continued to feed on the animal. It took Tlanga a couple of days to finish this kill. This leopard was accused of killing a number of dogs. Tim Bainham was at one such incident. Though he never saw it happen, he did hear it happen. It was dusk, and the following morning, the homeowner told Tim that their dog was missing. All right, please lend me your undivided attention for this one. On the 2nd of December 2022, at about 7 o'clock in the evening, Chris Tilney was seated inside his house when Tlanga decided to join Chris. Both man and animal calmly watched each other before the leopard padded his way back outside. Chris was left to process what had just happened. He wasn't given much time because 2 minutes later, the leopard walked back in. Chris decided it best to make himself bigger. Tlanga turned and walked outside again. The leopard did not return. I believe it would be fair for someone to ask, Owen, how do you know that leopard was Tlanga and not Insekelo? This image of Tlanga was taken on November 28th, just south of Chris's home. On December 1st, Graham Gamble sent me trail cam images of Tlanga outside his house, which is close to Chris's. I also have no reports for Insekelo on HWE over that time. Sandy De Beer has informed me that both Insekelo and Kalua were sighted at Wild Dog Dam on Kaya in Lovu on the other side of the R40 on November 29th. Sandy also sent me a screenshot of the images that had been shared. Evidently, Chris had a clear view of this leopard, and he said it was a well-sized male. At the time of this incident, Insekelo was a 1-year-old. The 4th of March 2023 is my last report for Tlanga on HWE. He has not been seen on this estate for over 8 months. This leopard departed naturally and without conflict, just as the previous litters have done before him. Please note that there were concerns expressed about Tlanga when he was around. Marine from Ingwe Leopard Research has informed me that Tlanga was seen in Kopama on September 10th this year. Marine also sent me an image to confirm. This is the leopard that, in my experience, has been the subject of much debate. Insekelo male. The discussions that I have had and the commentary that I have seen indicates that this leopard's presence has been a polarizing factor. Some people are adamant that the risk of this leopard attacking a child is high enough to justify his removal, while others say his conflict with humans on HWE is inevitable. Then there is those who want him to be left alone. Dr. Tony Swimmer is the estate's board member in charge of flora and fauna. He took the initiative to start a spreadsheet on reports for Insekelo, so he could better understand what was happening. He asked that I also fill in the sheet, which I did diligently up until the 31st of August this year. You will recall that until Insakelo's independence, I only had 35 reports for him and Kulua. That all changed drastically when he became independent. Dr. Swemmer started the spreadsheet on the 8th of June. From that date until the 30th of July, I have 40 reports for Insakelo alone. The majority of those reports are sightings. He was seen considerably more often in a 7-week stretch than he was in the first 16 months of his life. In April this year, Insakelo killed an impala near May van der Westhuizen's home. I am told he killed another impala a couple days later nearby. This would mark the beginning of Insakelo's constant presence on HWE. This image was shared by Annie Vandenberg on Instagram. A resident on HWE took this photo of Insakelo outside their home. I wonder if these peri-urban leopards are a benefit to the sales on HWE. I'd like to read the notable reports for Insakelo. But on a slight side note, Joris is in this report. Joris Bertens is in this report. And I would like to begin by giving him a shout out. Joris was in his home on HWE when he was bitten on the hand by a Mozambique spitting cobra. And he has endured an awful ordeal. I have the utmost respect for how Joris handled the incident and for how well he has recovered. It is great to see Joris cycling on his bike again. On the 8th of June, Joris was cycling down Hoedspruit Road on the Greenbelt at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so it was still light. Unbeknownst to Joris, Insakelo was on the side of the road, and Joris approached the leopard. As he approached, the leopard bolted 10 meters in and hunkered down, watching Joris. The next day, again at 5 in the afternoon, Insakelo was seen just north of Hammerkop Dam, lying down about 10 meters off the road. On July 5th, Insakelo was seen in someone's driveway at 22 minutes past 9 in the morning. Later that day, at 20 past 1 in the afternoon, he was seen crossing Vagenbicki. On the 13th of July, he was seen at sunset on Guineafell, near Hammerkop Dam. So I am sure, as most of you know, he was being seen often during the day. He was also on a friend of mine's patio, watching their domestic animals through the closed sliding door one evening. Apparently, he has also killed a number of dogs. Insakelo was more relaxed and present for a certain time frame than any of the other leopards have been in the last 5 years. On the evening of July 30th, Insakelo was seen wandering around the stables area. From that night until the end of August, I only had 6 reports for this leopard. So, we see a significant decline in reports for this animal, a trend that has persisted. Insakelo is still around. However, these reports are very few and far between relative to when he first became independent. In recent years, the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate has seen 2 newly independent young male leopards use the property frequently. hope that video played for everyone. If it didn't, please just click on it. So that is some pretty cool footage. In July this year, I became aware that the Zaha female has 2 small cubs. It appears that one of those cubs is a male. Should he survive to independence and realize what his older brother did, that the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate has a healthy prey base, perennial water, shelter, and low competition, then he too may be constantly present. There are many examples of young male leopards exhibiting more relaxed and inquisitive behavior, though both the Mbilu female and Mandla used the property to hunt for months after their independence. Also, it is my belief that the Kulua female has recently given birth. I'd like to mention again that I have identified 13 different transient peri-urban leopards on the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate. At the end of June this year, Athel Johnson was cycling down Guinea Fowl near Hammerkop Dam when he found drag marks across the road heading toward the residential area. When I saw the drag marks, I noticed large male leopard tracks, and I was certain that kill belonged to Mafu, the dominant male. I decided to go and check my cams in the field. Mafu had chosen to walk from the kill and exit in the eastern section of HWE. He left the property at 12 minutes past 7 in the morning. This means he was moving after sunrise, in the light. He would repeat that modus operandi the following day. In light of what I have shared with all of you, please consider these 3 questions. Are we blessed to have the likes of Tlanga and Nsekelo around? Or is their youthful curiosity enough to have them deemed problem animals to be removed? Is a confiding and often present young leopard more of a threat than a secretive older cat or any of the other dangerous animals that we have chosen to live among? Finally, what is our role as people in this environment? I do believe that in general, the residents of HWE are responsible. That being said, this estate has a large number of foreign visitors, and perhaps some residents do not have the same understanding of this environment as others. I encourage us to continue sharing information and to consistently practice responsible coexistence. In this vein, I would like to share these guidelines. How to view a leopard on HWE when on foot. If you are walking your dogs, they will often pick up on the presence of a predator and be hesitant to take certain routes with you. Listen to your dogs and walk another way. If you see a leopard while you're on foot, don't panic and slowly keep moving away, trying not to maintain direct eye contact. Most times when you see a leopard and calmly carry on, the cat will stay where it is. Should you stop and point at the leopard when the animal knows its cover is blown, it will likely run away. Your excited reaction may result in the cat charging you. Never follow the leopard into the veld. It has gone there because it is uncomfortable with your presence and wants to escape. How to view a leopard from a vehicle. Slow the vehicle to a halt and switch off the engine, keeping a healthy distance from the cat. This increases the chances of the leopard remaining calm and not feeling pressured. Driving quickly towards the leopard is most likely going to scare it away. Respect the animal's presence by quietly observing its movements. Loud noise may frighten or annoy the leopard. Do not leave your vehicle and follow the animal on foot. You have no idea if the animal is injured, has cubs, a kill, or feels cornered. Remember that leopards rely on their secretive nature to hunt. Therefore, the more space you give it, the better your sighting will be, as the cat is more likely to be comfortable. Avoid walking alone or with small children and dogs between dusk and dawn. When walking your dogs, please keep them on lead. Please do not let your children or pets play outdoors unattended at night. When outdoors at night, ensure the area is well lit. When allowing your dogs to go out and urinate during the night, we recommend you spotlight the area first and be present. Pay attention to the other wildlife in the area. Be aware of distress calls. They can be an indicator of a predator's presence. Then react responsibly. I would like to conclude by saying that I am an advocate for coexistence with wildlife. And it is my hope that the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate remains a shining example to other properties that are looking into actively practicing responsible coexistence in an effort to minimize risk. Within the context of coexistence on HWE, may the result of this presentation be informed opinion and decision making. Thank you for listening.